If you're a beginner, you don't have a green thumb, and you'd like to have plants at home, know that it's possible because there are plants that require little maintenance. To bring a little cheer and especially color into your apartment, you can add some flowering plants like Phalaenopsis orchids. The special thing about this plant is that it blooms on a floral spike, and as the flowers fade, you remove them and it keeps blooming on the same stem. Watering on the weekend isn't any more complicated. You just soak it for a few minutes. In a basin, take it out, let it drain, and that's good for the week's watering. Let's continue with some other plants. The peace lily with white flowers, also known as the moonflower, is a plant that doesn't need direct light, but it still requires a lot of light. A normal apartment temperature between 20 and 22 degrees is just perfect for it. You can place it facing north, but above all you should never put it near a radiator. Now let's move on to the Anthurium with its beautiful red flowers, and also pink ones. Watering this plant is easy. Put it in a saucer, add clay balls, and once a week. Add 1 centimeter water at base. Make sure it doesn't sit in water and it keeps blooming. Fertilize bi-weekly from March to April. If you don't have a green thumb, I recommend bromeliads, guzmania, blooming once but last 6 months. Water weekly is enough. Keep in light, not direct sunlight. Fertilize bi-weekly from March to April. If you really don't have a green thumb, I recommend bromeliads, especially this variety, guzmania, which has the unique feature of blooming just once, but lasts for at least 6 months. Watering it once a week will be more than enough, as long as you expose it to light, but never in direct sunlight. If you don't have much of a green thumb, I wouldn't recommend the Ficus benjamina, and yet you see the Ficus benjamina everywhere, but it tends to lose its leaves too much. Let's move on to indestructible plants like the Zamioculcas, which can thrive in shade, partial shade, or sunlight, but never in direct sunlight. You can forget about it. As for watering, it will manage just fine anyway. Like the snake plant, with its mother-in-law's tongue and very elongated leaves, you should place it in good light, but never in direct sunlight, as the leaves might burn. It's a plant that does really well behind a sheer curtain, for example. Another easy plant to grow indoors in an apartment at 20-22 degrees is the Dracaena marginata. You water it once a week, and you should never place it near a radiator, as the leaves might dry out. The only maintenance you need to do is just to trim the leaves at the base. At the foot of the Dracaena marginata, a misery, the Tradescantia, is undoubtedly the easiest plant to cultivate. So here it was propagated at the base, but it's a plant that can also be grown in hanging pots. Another plant that can be grown in hanging pots is the chlorophytum, which is also said to be an air purifying plant with variegated green and white leaves. It will even produce offshoots, and you can multiply it endlessly. It's a piece of cake to grow the spider plant in your apartment. In conclusion, if you want to have some green plants at home, the general rule for all these plants that have been presented is to provide light but never direct sunlight, water them once a week, and give them fertilizer once a month from March to October.